Unrealized trading gains, that's a very important topic that I want to discuss in this video because as you'll see in this, quite frankly, pretty horror story filled case study, if you don't understand how this works, you can put yourself in a really bad situation. So if you're just getting started in trading and investing and I say unrealized gains, unrealized losses, and you don't know what I'm talking about, totally fine. We all got to start somewhere. Or maybe you're just somebody that likes a good old horror story, then that'll be who this video is for. But first off, what exactly are unrealized gains, realized losses, unrealized losses? Let's establish that first. So this is taken from my investing accounts, and up there you can see unrealized gain and loss. And what I want to focus on here are those numbers right there. You can see some decent sized numbers. But here is the key, and this is what an unrealized gain is. Those numbers actually don't mean a whole lot to me. They're not actually real. What do I mean they're not real? Well, those numbers you see, I can't use them for anything. So for that top one, that was over $4,000, I can't go and spend $4,000 on something because I don't actually have $4,000. That is just reflecting that that stock has gone up in value by over $4,000. But as far as actually being able to use that money, it's not real because, well, I can't use it because it's just not there. So if you've ever heard somebody in the investing or trading world say, yeah, I got these paper gains, or on paper I'm worth, or something talking about on paper, what they're actually saying is, well, I have a bunch of unrealized gains. That I have these gains that have occurred, but they're not real because I can't actually use them for anything. In order to make them real, you need to realize the gain. How do you go from unrealized to realized? So from unreal to real, you would actually have to sell. So in this situation, I would have to sell my stock. And as soon as I sell that, then I would gain access to the $4,000. But now there's a flip side to that because after I sell that unrealized number, because it's become real, well, there's no chance for that number to get bigger. But those numbers that you just saw could get even bigger and bigger because it's unrealized. It can keep on growing. But as soon as you make it real, again, you realize the gains by selling, well, then you remove the opportunity for those to get even bigger. On the flip side, though, you also remove the opportunity for those to get smaller because, well, it's now a realized gain. You've sold the position. And then on the flip side of things, again, you can see unrealized gains and losses, but now you're seeing some red numbers, meaning my unrealized losses are at that amount. Now, same is true here though. Those are not real in the sense of, wow, I just lost that amount of money, which I like in this situation, and why I'm keeping them unrealized because sure, they can go bigger and go down and get even more red, even a bigger loss. But on the flip side, they can technically recover back upwards and those red numbers could turn to green and then become unrealized gains. So in other words, unrealized gains can become unrealized losses. Just the same as unrealized losses, like you just saw, could in theory become unrealized gains. But if I were to sell that position, so if I were to realize the loss, if I were to make that loss real, well then there's no longer any chance for that to become a winning position because I have sold the position. So that's the key distinction, is unrealized is kind of a magical and mystical number. It's just floating out there. Yeah, it's worth that, but you can't do anything with it. And that's the key principle. You can't do anything with it because it's not real. It is unrealized. So just take away the "zized" and just look at it as unreal. It's not real when you're looking at those numbers in your account. And if you don't understand this, well, this is what could happen. So Ashley, and like I said, this is kind of an embarrassing story, and I wish her nothing but the best. So I wanted to block out everything, but I do want to be able to refer to the person. So Ashley says, I'm stuck in Mara at 24.55. Now this is a whole nother topic, but Ashley, with all due respect, you're not stuck. You're just refusing to honor a stop loss. You're refusing to use any sort of risk management, but that's besides the point. I have lost all my gains from the last 9 months. I feel horrible. Lost it all in 2 days. And yeah, that's a really rough spot to be in, but that's not even really the horror story part of it. The horror story part is where she was potentially in a really bad financial spot. I'm returning a nice ring I bought myself to celebrate my wins. So Ashley went out there and she was like, wow, I'm doing great. Look at my wins. Look at all this money I'm making. And she bought herself something. She bought herself a ring. Now, I'm very, very glad to hear that this ring had a return policy with it. But can you imagine if this thing, in this case, the ring, did not have a return policy? That's a really dangerous spot to be in, as just from a personal finance standpoint. So what did Ashley do? Well, she was looking at those unrealized gains, and wow, look at these numbers. They are big. I'm doing great. They keep growing. I'm gonna go buy a ring because I'm doing great. So hopefully you see the disconnect and you're saying, whoa, 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 based on what you just told us, Ashley, careful, because those are not real. You don't actually have that money. You can't do that because those are unrealized gains. And what had happened? Those unrealized gains, poof, in 2 days, down to nothing, and now are losses. And Ashley, like I said, I'm glad that she's able to return that ring and get her money back from that, because she spent money she didn't actually have, because again, she didn't realize those gains. So this is a very, very critical concept that you must understand, because like I said, all drama aside, I mean, had that ring or had some sort of object, had a no return policy, and then you go spend money that you don't actually have, and then that money disappears like it did in this situation that's a I don't think I need to say anymore. That would be a very, very dangerous spot to be in from a personal finance standpoint. So remember, unrealized is not real. In order to make them real, or in order to realize the gain or realize the loss, you need to sell whatever you own. That could be a car, that could be a stock, that could be crypto, that could be gold, that could be your house, that could be a baseball card. But just because you look on paper and see it worth a certain amount, you don't get to do anything with that amount unless you sell the object that it is tied to. So be aware of this and definitely understand how this works so you don't put yourself in the spot that Ashley had herself in. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up, as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.